Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Season 8 of Stand Up and Stand Out para te y desde. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Nikki Green. Throughout the past 8 seasons, we have worked to showcase some incredible guests with eclectic backgrounds so you can see that success comes in many shapes and sizes. On our path to episode 100, we have some new inspiring interviews to celebrate this important milestone of our podcast. As I add retreats into my coaching program, I'm looking forward to meeting more of you in person and connecting with you beyond the podcast. I hope you enjoy Season 8, and I look forward to hearing your feedback and comments on the fascinating topics we will cover with each new guest. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Stand Up and Stand Out para te y desde. Believe it or not, we are already to Season 8. I'm excited to continue expanding our community with our wonderful guest today, Karen Dyrenforth, your go-to financial empowerment coach for heart-centered women entrepreneurs. At the heart of Karen's mission is a fervent desire to empower women to operate profitable businesses. She passionately guides women in merging intuition with practical financial aspects of their ventures, ultimately paving the way for business profitability. Her emphasis on women helping women underscores her commitment to building flourishing financial communities and creating collaborative environments where strong, confident, entrepreneurial women can shine. Hi, Karen. How are you?
I'm doing great, Nikki.
I love what you do, Karen, and I can't wait to learn more about you and how you're helping your communities.
Thank you, Nikki. It's a pleasure to be here.
Let's talk a little bit about, why you're so inspired to help women. I love, especially this aspect, you and I meet so many great creatives that are working to really help heal our world. But in order for them to run a business, finance is at the center. And I know you have a great background there to help them. So maybe share a little bit about your story and how you got started.
Thank you. I will. I have worked both in international and national corporate America for decades, and I was able to see firsthand what worked and didn't work from my position in either as an accounting manager or financial analyst. And one thing that I really got, and I had to teach myself, was how to view things from sort of a male perspective of the analytics and how to talk about those things with the C-suite executives when I would present the information. I had to learn how they really wanted to receive it. And at one point, I kind of felt like, maybe there were some things that I would have done differently, but I wasn't in that decision-making role. So, I learned what I could. And at some point, I realized that what I'd really like to experience was working in a woman-owned business. And so I had that opportunity in 2 different areas. One was a yoga business that was a woman-owned business, and the other was a business that sent students to study abroad. It was called Global Links Learning Abroad, and that was owned by 2 women who I highly respected. And I have to say the culture, the environment was really different from the other companies that I'd worked for that were, majority male owned. And it really opened my eyes as I started thinking about women who didn't work in companies but were working for themselves. I started to get very interested in how could I take that information that I've learned through the years on how companies run and what works and doesn't work, and apply that for women who are in business for themselves. Because the other thing that I started to read about were how groups of women in third world countries would take out microloans and start their own little businesses, which helps them to support their families and their communities. And the repayment of those loans was in the high 90s. So it's like, this seems to be something works. It's a working model. So coming back to, living in the United States and talking to women entrepreneurs here, at one point, I just really wanted to be able to step away from working for a company and help women entrepreneurs who are in business for themselves, because I could see that they were more willing to collaborate and they're more willing to have the impact, like kind of the pebble in the pond image in their community. There's a lot of benefit, not just for themselves.
I really do appreciate that. And it's such an important thing. I think for too long, a lot of people were in business really for a selfish reason, for themselves, for their title, for their legacy, but not really thinking about, like you said, that pebble in the pond, that ripple effect of how we can impact so many others with what we're doing. And I think it's a big shift in, especially the experience here in the States, but that we expect more. We expect to really make an impact, and that we're thinking of how we're spending our money based on what kind of influence that company, has, no matter what size it is. And at the root of that will always be finance. And I think for too long also, we just didn't talk about money. It was always kind of like a thing you keep to yourself. And I think it's really important, the education that you do, to make sure that people understand their finances and they're comfortable, making sure that their business is profitable. So maybe share a little bit about how you do help people in that area. I know you do a lot of different things to help your clients.
Thank you. First and foremost, realize that the way women think about things, especially about money, is very different than the way men think about it. So I wanted to be able to present this information from a feminine perspective and how to make it more readily accessible, because what I realized is women are not necessarily always encouraged, enculturated, nor educated about how to handle finances. You've got, you make money, you have to manage money, and you want to multiply your money. Those are kind of the 3 M's that I've discovered. And there's also an unwinding of mindset. So, I know personally, when I grew up, I kind of thought, well, having a lot of money isn't necessarily a good thing, because I would see kind of the selfish, what I described as the selfish motives of people that had a lot of money. And so I created a money mindset that a lot of money is bad, right? But money is just like energy. It's just like anything else. And you want to welcome it. And one of the approaches that I take in working with women entrepreneurs is how to build a better relationship with your money in your business. And welcome it like a friend, and because your friends want to help you, right? They want the best for you. So I've had a really fun experience of working with a group of women where we really delved into that, changing your relationship with money. And I kind of have a picture of sitting on the porch with a glass of wine with your money friend there, and just having that good connection with it. And it seems to be able to open up for the women that I was working with in this group anyway, to say, yeah, I can learn some key information in a way that makes sense to me, and then use that in the business. And that's really what I'm about, is just how to take this information and use it to be able to be profitable. Because like you said, if you want to have an impact, it takes having a profitable business and a business that's growing so that it reaches more of your constituents.
I think that's so critical. And that is the root of it. In all the different talks I do about money, the mindset is such a critical piece, because, depending on how we grew up, but I know for myself, I talk about how often, we had scarcity mindset, not just in our house, but around us. We grew up, with government housing. We did not have much. We barely made ends meet. But the way we did it in our house is we cut back. We cut back everything we possibly could. So you felt that scarcity constantly. There was no credit cards. There was no overspending. There was no going out. In fact, we had a garden in the backyard. We grew our own vegetables. But I saw, even though people around us were in the same circumstance, fancy cars, fancy clothes, all these things of overspend, and then just being constantly miserable because they're constantly behind. But those things create such, a deep impression about, when you're young, about money and what you're supposed to do, and a little bit of coveting what others have too when you have that. So I love that you're unwinding that with so many women to help them really start to feel empowered. And like you said, that it's a friend, that if you treat money properly, it'll treat you good back.
And you want to be friendly to it. Like if you are saying money's bad, like I used to say money's bad, well, energetically, what we focus on grows. So just changing even the way you want to invite it into your sphere of influence, like be welcoming. And we all know how energy works, right? If you have positive energy, if you're putting out positive energy, that's what comes back to you. That's what's attracted to you. So I see money in the same regard. You want to be putting out these really friendly vibes. And I've seen it happen where it will come to you, you know? I just want to help as many women as I can to have that experience of making the kind of money where they can pay themselves what they're worth from their business instead of paying into their business.
Well, it's that difference of investing in ourselves, investing in our business. So many times, even just using the word invest versus spend, it's like, oh, I'm spending too much money. But if that money comes back to you by, paying yourself, by leaving a legacy, by, having those clients do well, then it's all for the better, right? Spend is like it's gone, right? And it never comes back. And so it's thinking about it in a new way where they're really investing to make themselves and their clients better. So I really love that about that.
Thank you. Thank you. I do too.
Well, I know you were inspired by a particular quote that you mentioned. So maybe you want to share a little bit about kind of how that brought you along on your journey.
Yeah. So in 2009, at a peace conference in Vancouver, the Dalai Lama predicted that the world will be saved by the Western woman. And that has been my mantra, if you will, throughout the whole formation of my business and the direction I want to take this in, because I kind of look at the state of where the world is now. And I'm like, maybe we need a change in leadership. I mean, seriously, folks, I don't think we can do any worse, if you know what I mean. But I think that women entrepreneurs are the ones that are going to be the ones that can shift the paradigm. And so I'm all about doing everything in my power to help empower them to be successful at whatever it is they have to offer.
I love it. And it's just a different way of thinking about things, I think, and a different way forward. I think a lot of our systems are quite broke and they've been in place for 100 or more years, and we haven't really reimagined what they could look like. We've built up this kind of capitalist thing and again, we're talking about money, but money in a way that can be more prolific for us rather than, kept between just a handful of people who have a whole lot of money and the rest of us kind of struggling to make ends meet. But a better way to build community. I like, those ideas of the microloans or just us helping each other to grow our businesses, that we're not always in competition with each other, that if we have a different mindset about how this grows together, we can figure out that way to invest and build the businesses, right?
I totally agree, Nikki. And you had mentioned the scarcity mindset before. So the idea that there's enough for everyone is something I really want to promote, because the opposite, I feel like, is what's been dominating this world and kind of creating that, I'm going to call it the greed factor, where everybody's trying to grab something for themselves, right? And it just seriously is not working, and there is this big separation between the top tier of people that have the largest amount of money and then the rest of us. And there's been models, and I couldn't name one specifically, but I've read, there's been models in other countries where the wealth is spread more evenly and everybody's thriving. And that's really what I would love to see happen in this country, is that people can thrive, not just get by, but really have, you don't have to have a lot to be happy, but even to cover the basics, there's even the homeless problem, that's all around us. It seems to be growing, and I think that's just wrong.
Well, it's definitely been a struggle over the last few years of us figuring out who we are as a people. And, we came through such a collective transformation, and not all of us came out better on the other side. And that isolation, sometimes we forgot we came out a bit feral. We came out a bit, again, back in that mindset. When I talk about scarcity mindset, usually we say like, oh, there's one pie and we're all dividing up the pieces. But what I like to say is we actually make the pie bigger the more we contribute. And so everyone gets a bigger slice and there's enough for, to go around. And I think that's the way that we keep pouring into each other as entrepreneurs, especially to keep helping each other, with those pieces that maybe we're not specialized in. Because it's very hard to be an expert in every single thing you need to do for your business. And just like many of these healers have incredible talents I don't have, it's great that we can share our business acumen with them so that they can get that solid foundation in place to, no matter what the idea of the business is, that it can still be profitable and make a difference. And maybe that's part of what you're seeing too. I'd like to kind of hear your thoughts of that. There's a lot more of these types of healing businesses coming in place now. And why do you think that is? Or, what have you experienced with some of the wonderful people you work with?
Why I think that is because we can see what's happening around us every single day. And the women that do this kind of work, and I mean, I just go on Facebook and I look at the groups and there's gazillions. I mean, really, there's a lot of healing type mindset shifting, paradigm shifting types of entrepreneurial ventures that women are formed, right? Like the law of supply and demand. The demand is really great. And so there's a supply of women, healers, coaches that are stepping up to meet that demand. But they may not have all the tools necessary to really have a business that can be profitable, and they struggle. So they're in the struggle. And I'd like to pull them out of the struggle so that they can flow and create and provide their gifts to the world. But the whole country is in very deep need of healing. And more than ever now, it's just surprised me over the years, what I've seen happen. So I just feel like I'm here to help support and do everything that I can to help these women be successful, because in order for them to be successful, they have to have this acumen in a way that they can understand and access it for themselves. I 100% agree with what you've just said too, is that I feel like women need to really step up and be leaders. We need more conscious, aware women leaders. And I myself have shied away from it, and no more. I'm stepping up. I'm stepping out. I want to take a leadership role so that I can be positive impact and change in the world that I want to see.
That's beautiful, and such a perfect place for us to land on. There's so many more topics I know I would love to cover with you. And I know we're going to collaborate on lots more stuff. This is just the beginning. But it's been a joy having you on Stand Up and Stand Out today. I know people would probably like to reach out and connect with you to see about your services. So maybe you can let folks know where they can find you.
Currently, I have a website called www.badassbusinesscoaching.com, because women are badasses and I want to help them. Or you can go to my LinkedIn profile, which Nikki has up on the screen there, and learn a little bit more about me. But I love to talk to women entrepreneurs, just even to have a chat, whatever. So go to either my website or my LinkedIn page. You can message me, and I'm happy to have a conversation. Just see where you are, see if there's anything that I can do to support what you're doing. Or just have a chat, like coffee chat.
Perfect. I love that. We need more just collaboration time together. And Karen has a wealth of experience to be able to share with you. So if you are, a healer in the spiritual realm and you're trying to get your business in a more financial, healthy shape, Karen is your gal. So we'll put that and so much more in the show notes for today's show. Karen, it's been lovely getting to know you a little bit better, and can't wait to spend more time with you. And we'll definitely have to have our own coffee chat to catch up a bit more.
Thank you so much, Nikki. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks for listening and celebrating our 8th season and 100th episode. We hope you've enjoyed this week's show. Please don't forget to share your thoughts on this topic with us across our social channels. You can find them at the NikkiGreen360.com. TTFN, this is Nikki signing off.